Here is my first ever bike from when I was a lot younger. Oh dear, I don't think it's going to go very far. It's missing its front wheel. This bike has a problem. As it's only got a single gear, there's no cog to hold the chain tight, and over time the chain stretches and eventually falls off. When this happens, you move the back wheel backwards to tighten up the chain again, but eventually the back wheel went as far back as it could possibly go, and after that, when the chain got loose, the bike was no longer usable. And now, many years later, this bike's just been sitting in my shed, and I've slowly been reusing different parts of this bike on various projects. Eventually I'm going to melt down the metal frame and turn the bike into something else. The front wheel is currently being used as a lift in my tree house. So moving on to the next bike, which my dad bought from a bike shop very cheaply. This bike originally came free when he bought a new car, but the person who bought the new car obviously didn't want the bike. This bike didn't last very long, as you can see, as the back wheel is missing. Many things went wrong with this bike. One time the brakes failed and I crashed it quite badly. But despite all the things going wrong, this bike was fairly fast. As this bike no longer worked, I was unable to get a video of it today. So here's a video I took earlier on. And now, here is a video where something got jammed in the bike's wheel by mistake and it was really noisy. And later on, the axle in the back wheel of this bike broke. It didn't last very long. So moving on to my brand new, really fast bike. This bike costed £300 in the sale, and normally it cost £550. This bike is so fast and it's really good. It has hydraulic disc brakes and the highest gears are so high you can't actually start in these gears. You have to slowly go up the gears like you would in a car. The only bikes faster than this are those racing bikes. The reason why I didn't buy a racing bike is they're really expensive and can be damaged really easily. Also, when I'm cycling, if I see another bike going the same way as me, I just can't help myself. I see it as a challenge. I just have to overtake that other bike. And on this bike, it's so fast, I usually can. The only people that can overtake me on this bike are people on racing bikes, like those cycling clubs you get early on a Sunday morning. And now to the time trial in Gillingham Park. This is a 300-metre time trial. I wonder how many seconds it'd take his bike to do it. Let's go! And now it's time for my dad's bikes. When I was young, my dad had a Holdsworth bike with a child seat on the back, a bit like his one in Happy Wheels. Oh, no, nothing like that ever happened though. I can't show you this bike as it's long since been got rid of. When he got rid of this bike, he brought this bike, which I've already talked about as it later became my bike. When it became my bike, he brought another bike, really cheap from a bike shop. This bike is really crap. It is so slow. The only good thing about this bike is the internal gears. These gears change amazingly smoothly, but the highest gear is not high enough for my liking. Apart from the really good gears, this bike is really crap and slow. Here it is doing a 300-metre time trial at Gillingham Park. And now for my mum's bikes. My mum has an old 70s Dawes bike, which would be heritage if it was original, but sadly over the years most of the parts have been replaced. Lastly, being the handlebars. After she had a bad crash on it, it originally had drop handlebars. And here it is doing a 300-metre time trial at Gillingham Park. And now for my mum's new bike, which she got for £250. This bike is very good and is actually quite fast. Here it is doing a 300-metre time trial at Gillingham Park. And now, just one more thing I'd like to add to a video, which is the shop Cycle King, which is located halfway between Chatham and Rochester. It's really good. The staff here are really friendly and the bikes are really cheap. And that's where most of the bikes come from in this video. Unlike the shop in Gillingham High Street called Bikes, 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 which is a really bad shop. The staff there are really rude. One time I had a spectacular crash on my second bike where the bag on the handlebar got caught in the front wheel, causing a wheel to jam, and I came off. The staff there didn't even believe me, and also they're very rude to children running around the shop. I really don't like that shop in Gillingham High Street.